shot, Hunt.
Decent
Turn that corner.
athlete. I mean, you can tell
Turn
he's
that
played
corner. That first.
off the ball. Go.
20, 15, 10, leaps a man at the line, into the end zone, touchdown. Wow.
What a hurdle. Oh, my gosh.
Anniah Smith.
One of the better punt returners per the numbers in all of college football last year.
He brings value in special teams, so he moves up. He's going to be a slot receiver.
Third lowest drop rate of any draft eligible wide receiver, 1.9%.
He's tough, runs through contact. I like to say he puts brick on the house because he goes up the field and that takes it off. Oh, look at this. Fearless. Bro, when I saw this play, I said, oh.
I thought he was going to get the cap.
Great finisher. And
Let me talk my shit again. Yes, sir. What it do, what it do, what it do. This is the Talk My Shit Again podcast. I am your humbly hostile host, Cassius Cliff. We are back with another video, and before we get into this video, definitely want to thank y'all for tapping into the previous one. Continue to like, share, subscribe, as well as comment. I definitely want to hear y'all thoughts. This is by far the most impactful, the most crazy, wildest draft that has ever taken place for the Philadelphia Eagles, and I just want to hear y'all thoughts purely because I know it's been hard for me to kind of conceptualize what the hell took place last week. But here we are, and I'm still breaking it down. I'm still going through it with y'all, and I'm excited to actually go through these next three picks because these next three picks not only are interesting, but also I'm really excited about a couple of these picks. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get into it. With the third, fourth, and fifth round picks, we did select at 94 Jalyx Hunt, 127 Will Shipley, and at 152 Anniah Smith. And I'm gonna be completely candid and honest. When it came to Jalyx Hunt, I had no idea who he was. It actually was a head scratcher, and I wasn't a fan of the pick in the beginning. Purely because, like, again, unfamiliarity, small school, and you already know the fable or the misconception about small schools without the proper or the, let's say, comparable competition, let's say, in terms of like your opponents. It's just not there when it comes to a guy like Jalyx Hunt, who played in the Southland Conference. I'm sure none of y'all can tell me where the Southland Conference is. I'll give y'all the answers in Texas. But that being said, he played in a very small conference against competition that these guys will never be in the league, not even undrafted signees. So with that being said, for us to take a guy like that in the third round definitely made me scratch my head. Very tough, very hard. But with that being said, after doing a little research, looking at his tape, finding out the fact that Vic Fangio, our new defensive coordinator, a guy that I actually wanted in the offseason, that was one of his favorite players out of the entire draft. I said, all right, let's ride. Let's do this then. Because without that, I have no answers for y'all. I would not remotely understand why the pick makes sense. But now doing some research and doing a little digging, we found that out. And we're actually going to tap into him first purely because that was the third round pick. As I mentioned, pick 94, Jalyx Hunt, standing at 6'4", 247 pounds, running a 4.64, and having the wingspan of 34.5 inches is insane measurables, insane intangibles in terms of physical ability. On the field, in terms of his actual skill set and toolkit, is not a lot to write home about. The guy is very raw in terms of his talent and I would say skill set, I should say. There's not a lot to go off there. Clearly, this is a project pick, and I wouldn't necessarily advise, or I wouldn't take the shot or chance on going with a project pick in the top 100. But again, given that I am a fan of Vic Fangio, I have to trust in his ability to not only groom him, but actually help him grow and mature into the player that he sees him to be. I don't see the vision necessarily yet, purely because I didn't do the research like Vic Fangio. So with that being said, after looking at his numbers, which were not bad, they were actually pretty good. with over 160 tackles over the course of his career, actually converted from safety to edge rusher. So this is a guy with versatility. It may not be versatility like Cooper DeJean, but coming from safety, playing the edge, that's a lot of versatility in my eyes. And he still was actually really pretty productive, and actually was more productive as an edge rusher than a safety. So as I stated, 160 tackles, 20 and a half tackles for loss, 13 and a half tackles for 13 and a half sacks, 2 block kicks, and a pick 6. I mean, he pretty much checked every box there was to check when it came to, stats and filling up that stat sheet over the course of his career in college. Now, I mentioned to you, not a highly regarded player coming out of college, but where he actually showed and proved was at the Senior Bowl. And given that he was invited to the Senior Bowl, that was clearly a good thing. And with that pass deflection right there in that practice, I mean, obviously his stock continued to rise, and I think that's where he really became Vic Fangio's favorite, or one of his favorites in terms of the defensive class out of the entire draft. And he sees clearly a lot of potential in a player like this. He has the physical traits to do a lot. I mean, coming from safety to defensive to edge and being effective is clearly a badge of honor. Playing 2 vastly different positions, but the physical traits are there. I mentioned it already, and clearly he needs to be polished. He's very raw when it comes to his rushing attack. From what I can tell, all he got right now is a speed rush and bull rush, which aren't bad, but playing edge and being effective at edge for a lengthy amount of time, you need several moves in your bag, and he just doesn't have that yet. So that being said, I'm gonna have to trust in Vic Fangio and his vision, though it's a little blurry right now, but I have to trust it because he, to me, is a respected coach, and I respect him personally, as well as his scheme and his philosophy. And I'm just hoping for the best for him, because the 3rd round pick is pretty high for you to take a chance on the guy. So time will tell, obviously, but we're going to keep it rolling with these next 2 picks, because I have a lot more confidence and really I have a lot more hope in these next 2 picks, because I feel like they'll have a lot more opportunity to contribute sooner than a guy like Jalyx Hunt. And first and foremost, Will Shipley. Obviously, the running back room is looking very different from the way it's looking the past couple years. I mean, we finally got a true number 1 in Saquon Barkley, a guy who can be on every down and really support the offense, be it blocking or running himself. But having guys that can do similar things to your starting running back is obviously very important in case, knocking on wood, that guy goes down. So that being said, we've seen a lot of Kenny Gainwell, and we know what he can offer us. And I truly believe a guy like Will Shipley can offer us a lot more. I mean, this is a guy who was first-team All-ACC, first-team All-ACC specialist, and he was a first-team All-ACC as a running back, 2022. 27 starts, over 2,700 rushing yards, averaging 5.2 yards per carry with 31 rushing touchdowns, over 600 yards rushing, and 904 yards kick return. I mean, effective in various ways, and really, it's a guy who's not shy. I mean, obviously, he's a smaller guy. He's a white running back. You do not see him every day. But for me, his best attribute is his vision, his patience, and his ability to make great cuts. Clearly, has served him well, being that he's had a lot of opportunities in terms of running the ball at Clemson, and he showed improved. I mean, he put up a lot of great numbers over the course of his career there, and those accolades that he earned were not given to him. There's pretty good competition in ACC, unlike the Southland Conference, in Jalyx Hunt. But Will Shipley clearly has great vision, great running ability. Breaking tackles is not his forte. The guy's only 5'11" and 206 pounds, so he's not that big. But the way they actually use him, you would have thought he was a bigger back. He clearly just had the vision and the shiftiness to actually avoid a lot of that contact. Because when he was actually met with that contact, he didn't have enough bricks in his pocket. He was actually going down. But before that, he made a lot of guys miss. And that I can appreciate and definitely hang my hat on, given that if you can't break tackles, you better be able to either block or, actually shake guys. Because what else are you running the ball for? I wouldn't understand it. So with that being said, last but certainly not least, the guy I'm actually most excited about, Anniah Smith, I think is one of the steals of the draft. Aside from, I think all of our picks, aside from Jalyx Hunt, is a steal of the draft. But Anniah Smith, I think, can offer us a lot in the kick return and punt return game, unlike Britton Covey. And it seems to be that Howie Roseman is he's preparing his team to have several guys fill in if need be. Cooper DeJean has had that experience. Clearly, Will Shipley has had that experience. And now you have the SEC all-purpose guy in Anniah Smith also added to the team in the 5th round. I mean, this is a guy I think, again, who can offer a lot in special teams, but I really truly believe this is going to be, I think it's going to be receiver 3. Eventually, I don't expect it to be day 1. I mean, we still have vets like Devontae Parker and Paris Campbell, but coupled with his kick return ability, I mean, you can obviously see the guy has vision, he has cutback ability, he can break tackles. And really, if you do a little research as I did, you can see that the guy has history as running back. He actually ran the ball quite a bit at Texas A&M, and when it came to them needing a big play, that's the guy that relied on the most. And I just mentioned his running ability, which was obviously paid dividends for him in his career. But as a receiver, and I do anticipate him being receiver number 3, the guy played 70% of his snaps in the slot. And not only did he make 20 guys miss in terms of forced missed tackles, which is forced mode, he had the 3rd lowest drop rate out of any eligible receiver for the entire NFL draft. That is including guys like Malik Neighbors, Marvin Harrison, Roma Dunze, all of those guys included. He had the 3rd lowest drop rate. So you do the math, the guy clearly has great hands. And if you don't believe he has great hands, the guy had 19 receiving touchdowns, averaging 13 yards per catch. I mean, come on now. The skill set's there. The ability's there. Clearly, he just needs to polish certain parts of his game, obviously route running. But it's all there. And really and truly, when it comes to adding a guy like this with his skill set, I think is pretty different from what we already have in terms of A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. I think he will, aside from maybe a guy like Paris Campbell, become one of the more explosive receivers that we have with the ball in their hand and being able to make guys miss as well as break tackles, because we know what AJ offers us. We know what Smitty offers us. But Anniah Smith definitely offers us something different, especially given his running back background. I think he's a great addition, especially at a 5th round pick. Come on, man. I mean, Howie's just been on a tear, and these picks have been no different from what I think the other picks have been, obviously aside from Jalyx Hunt. With that being said, I mean, this draft obviously has, I think you can't get a home run on every pick. That's clearly what it is. It's hard to get a knockout every time on these draft picks. And really, you try to do the best you can with the picks you have. Obviously, a guy like Howie, he's proactive. He's a shaker and mover. He made 8 draft trades to, acquire the picks that we did. And some of these picks that we just went over were because of those trades. So with that being said, you try to find those diamonds in the rough, those gems, and trust in your coaching staff to actually groom them and make them pros that they're supposed to be. And with these picks, I firmly believe that we have the coaches and really the vets in the room to help these guys grow and mature and to be the players that we will rely on moving forward in the incoming years, as well as even possibly the season. A guy like Anniah Smith and Will Shipley, I believe those guys will contribute a lot sooner than a guy like maybe Jalen Hunts, but obviously time will tell. And I'm just excited to see how this actually pans out, because we already have enough depth when it comes to the vets around this team. And this draft, aside from I'll say cornerback position, there's been a lot of great depth additions when it comes to the guys that we drafted and where we drafted them at. I couldn't be happier with them. And with that being said, we're going to keep it rolling. We got some more videos coming up soon. Obviously, we have a couple more draft picks. We actually got a collab coming soon as well, so look forward to that. But obviously, this is the Talk My Shit Again podcast. I'm your humbly hostile host, Cassius Cliff. We out to the next one.